Welcome to Exceptional and Unfiltered. We're Alicia, Melissa, and Teresa, three moms living the real, messy, beautiful life of raising kids with special needs. We're so glad you're here. So there's a moment that changes everything when our life is split to a before and an after, when our world just seems to just completely change. And that's what we're going to talk about today, what that moment was like. And we all know each other really well, but I don't think we've ever sat down and talked about what that moment was like for us and how that felt. So, Melissa, what was that like for you? Did you see signs, or did it kind of all happen at once? What was that like?
Most definitely, I saw signs. I think as a mom, sometimes we see signs and we don't want to accept it.
Yeah.
And so I'm a mom of three, so I had already had two boys that had, went through milestones, and I had raised them. So I kind of knew that, something was not right, with my youngest child. Um, and there was a lot of other medical issues that he had, so we would kind of blame those issues for some of the behaviors I noticed.
Yeah.
Like he just would never rest. He cried a lot. So the doctor said, well, maybe it's colic. But I was like, it's excessive crying. And then there were other times like it seemed like he was in pain, just not settled, just not, just content. And those we thought were maybe like some medical issues like a hernia or something. But the day it kind of hit me, we were actually in church, and I can remember it just as clear as day as they told us to stand up. I had Noah in my arms, and I saw other kids that were his age. He was a year old. So I saw them crawling around in the floor, and then for Noah, he was really struggling for me to hold him. So, he, just balance and kind of, a lot of neurological issues. So at that point, it kind of hit me. And so I immediately asked his pediatrician, if he could send me for a referral. And he did. And as we know, sometime in a small town, you may have to travel. So that was kind of an extra expense at the time that was, worrisome for me because, I was in school and I didn't know how I was going to pay for it. But, we needed to get answers and we had to go. And at that point, the scary part for me, I think, was I knew after the testing that we had when the doctor called me and asked me, his, general doctor, to come in and talk to him. And when I got there, he took me to his office.
So you've probably felt something like something was about to happen.
Yes.
My heart was dropping.
Yeah.
In a year and a half, I never had been invited to his office.
Right.
We had went into the exam room, but never the office. So I kind of knew something was not right. And he, told me the diagnosis. And I tell people it was a diagnosis I never have heard of. Still cannot hardly pronounce it. Still cannot spell it. Because I think the first diagnosis we got was a genesis of the corpus callosum.
Well, that's a mouthful.
It is.
Yeah.
And so they were going to connect me, the neurologist, with like a support group. I mean, how scary is that? Like somebody is like, we're going to give you a support group. So you're like, what do I
This
do?
is very, this is very serious.
scary.
Yes, very scary. And the support group, I think, was in Boston or Massachusetts. It was, somewhere far away. So I had nobody close to connect to. Because at that point in my life, I didn't really even have a connection with any other family that had, someone they were raising with a disability.
So how scary and isolating.
Nothing to compare it to at all.
No. Yeah. So I could not call, like before with my, my two older boys, I could call my mom. I could call my aunt. I could call people to get advice. Yeah. But I had no one to call at that point because, I didn't even know still when people would, to this day, somebody could say, well, what diagnosis do your son have? Or they would say, spell it. I'd say, I don't know how to spell it. Like, I really don't. So,
autocorrect wouldn't even be able to spell that.
Wow. Absolutely. So that was the thing is you just feel so alone. And just so scared because, like I said, you feel so isolated. You have no one you could really call and ask, what should I do or how can I, help? I think that's the thing. You feel so helpless.
Yeah, that makes total sense and just probably very heavy.
Yes.
Just a very heavy feeling. I think that's one of the reasons, that we're doing this podcast is because we've been there and had those isolating moments and, somebody else can listen to this and say, hey, I'm going through this or I've been through this and feel more connected.
Absolutely.
Does that sound like similar to you, Teresa, and like what you've kind of went through?
I think the main part that resonated with me that she said was alone and isolate. You said isolating.
Yeah.
And that was definitely the feeling I had that day. I feel like it was a very traumatizing day. Before, well, you'd asked, how I thought if I had suspected. But I did, but I didn't even want to admit that to myself. And and I didn't even know what I suspected. I just knew it wasn't right. And then family members, I'm sure well-meaning family members, would suggest, "Oh, my friend's a nurse, and she thinks," and I was like, "Well, I'm ready to kill you right now because I don't care for your attitude. Don't say something's wrong with my kid."
The anger.
I was
The
very
anger,
angry,
yes.
very defensive.
Yeah, I've been there too.
And it's just, I always compare it to the stages of grief. I think you have a lot of those. I know I was so much in denial. I had the anger. I mourned a lot. I feel, and then eventually you accept it, and I say, put on your big girl panties, and you just roll with it, and you do what you have to do.
Yeah.
I just remember that day was very, that we got the diagnosis. It was just very, I felt alone. I could have had a million people with me, and I felt very alone because I thought, it's your baby, and
Yeah.
that's your whole world. That's your whole responsibility in life. You're the one that's, going to guide their way. And you're like, how do I even do that in this situation? We went to a clinic in Saltville and got the diagnosis there. And it was just hard. And I don't know if it was my state of mind or the doctor's bedside manner or both. It probably was both. And I was just like, I felt like he was stabbing me in my heart over and over again, because you just don't want to hear something's going on with your kid.
Did you have anger towards him?
Yes, I did.
See, I had a similar experience with that too. And so like with my situation, it wasn't quite like as gradual with you guys. Like I was 17 years old and, a mom in high school, which was already like, wow.
That's already big.
It's already hard, and like I couldn't relate to my peers or anybody else. And then my son Riker, he was born perfectly healthy, and then 9 days old, got really sick and started running a fever. Long story short, it was bacterial meningitis, caused strokes and a lot of brain damage. And within a couple of days, we had his diagnosis, and it was pretty bad. They said he would never walk, talk. He would die before he was 7 months old because he would lose that reflex to suck.
Oh, gosh.
And, it was like so many things, and it all hit me so hard. So I feel like what you were talking about too, Melissa, that isolation and nobody can understand even if they want to. Yeah. And at 17, it felt like even more so. Like nobody could relate to me as a teen mom.
How were you even?
Yeah.
What could have even prepared you for any of that?
Yeah. But I remember feeling so angry at the person that gave us the diagnosis. Like we even nicknamed her Dr. Doom. And
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, and I'm just like so much like displaced anger towards this person because it's coming out of your mouth. You're the one saying there's something wrong with my kid. Yeah, it's the total like kill the messenger thing. Yeah. And just super angry. And then I went numb. Like you were talking about the different stages of grief, which I think are not really in order either.
I don't think they are.
No, they're not.
Because I'm pretty sure mine did not
still
follow
going
the
through
order.
them. Yeah, still going through them at different stages.
Oh, for sure. I still have moments if I am reflecting and I have a moment like that hits me right in the gut. And I imagine like when I see seniors graduating, and we'll have that, yes, but it looks different.
Right.
Yes.
And I used to worry so much that he wouldn't like have things like prom. And now we're very blessed, but only in the past few years are we blessed to have these wonderful things, and we're so grateful. But it was a long time before that happened, and that's just another mama worry. You want them to have the same experiences as as typical kids, if you want to call it that. I don't. Sometimes it's hard to put the vocabulary with it because what's typical?
Exactly. And like our boys are. Mine's 21. Yours is 21. 20. So, we've been doing this on our own for a long time. Yeah. So, the isolation and those feelings didn't just happen during that moment at the diagnosis. They've carried with us all this time.
And got worse.
And got more complicated. And, no one could ever prepare you for the weight, the pressure, the worry, the guilt, the all of it times a million.
Yeah. And I think the
You know?
guilt is probably the worst for me because we are taught you've got to be a good mom, you've got to be a good employee, you've got to be a good student.
Carry it
I
all.
was in school too the
Yeah.
same time, and so I felt like I could not give my 100% to anything.
Yeah.
Whether it was a mom to my other children,
Yes.
to learning everything I needed to know about a medical diagnosis or my grades. I felt like I could not, achieve what I thought I was capable of just because I had so many stressors at the same time trying to balance it all.
You're not the same person anymore that you used to be. You know, like that moment changes the whole course of the rest of your life. You know, and
It's a hard turn.
It's a
Yes,
hard turn.
yes,
I like
yes.
that description. It is. It's like a hard turn. It's just nothing. There's
Nothing
truly
will
a
ever be
before
the
and
same.
after. No.
Nothing will ever be the same. And I think about you girls a lot. Zachary's an only child. He has stepbrother and stepsister, but that's just different. And I'm like, I can only imagine, what these girls have to go through to also make their kids feel as special
I
as.
feel like I fail
Yeah.
every day.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
every
I
day.
would too. Like I try to I can't, but I try to put myself in your position, and that's exactly how I would feel. I imagine.
Yeah, and so Riker, he's the oldest of my three boys, and Noah's the youngest.
Yeah.
So we have different experiences with that.
Yes.
But it changed your whole family dynamic.
Yes. Oh, yeah, because my boys, instead of sometimes being able to go out, have fun with their friends, they stayed home and helped me. If I was studying or I was doing stuff for school or work or something, they took on like almost a parental role to him as well.
Yeah.
And still do that with him. You guys have seen how they are with him.
They're
and,
wonderful.
And it is still
Yeah.
like
They
he's
are.
like their little baby too.
Yeah.
Because that's what role they also had, even as a young
It's
age.
a blessing at the same time.
Yes.
Because they have such a heart for him and people like him
Yes.
because they live it.
Yeah.
There's a pressure for that too, though.
Yes,
There's a pressure
absolutely.
like I hope my kids are compassionate adults.
Yeah.
I hope that they grow up to be men that are considerate and are good to the special needs community. Because how
Yes.
bad would it be then?
Yeah.
Yes.
If they have a
Yes.
sibling and they weren't raised that way.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
a lot of pressure. But let's go back for just a minute to that moment and what that felt like, in each of our lives when that was happening. Like, and who was with you and how were you comforted? Like, what helped you get through those moments? Was it being by yourself, or did you have somebody that you could lean on?
I think being by myself a lot, and I have a large family, so there was like one of my cousins.
You've got a lot of cousins.
I do,
I was
and there
gonna
was
say.
one that was very helpful to me and kind of listened to me, and she was the one that I leaned on a lot because she did not treat me any different, and that was really something that meant a lot because I think other family members and friends don't know how to treat you. They don't know whether they should feel bad for you, feel sorry, and they want to help, but they don't know how. And she, the one cousin that I have that I'm really close with, she did not treat me different, and that was what really I needed at that time.
That makes a lot of sense. What about you, Teresa?
Well, on the day of the diagnosis, my ex-husband, Zach's biological dad, was there. It was just a hard day. We were at a rough spot in our marriage and had been for a long time. And I don't know. I think I was already feeling isolated and
Overwhelmed.
and it was just so much going on. And obviously that was my top priority was this. And I just felt like I'm the type of person that I kind of just want to dig in and just do it all by myself.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's not healthy, and
I do the same thing.
I acknowledge
get it,
that,
yeah.
but that is my go-to. I want to hunker down and just fix it. So I don't know that I did rely on my mom and dad, but that was hard because, people have their own things going on too. And I just felt like it was my battle, and that's what I was going to do. And like I said, the marriage was in a difficult place, and we were going our separate ways, and we had different outlooks about what was going on with Zachary. I was concerned but in denial, and that's not good. And I think he felt like, I won't speak for him, but he expressed to me that he felt like I babied him, and that's why he behaved the way he did. And
So then there's like maybe some blame
and then
feeling on you.
and
Yeah.
so the guilt just kept piling up,
Yeah.
and it was just overwhelming. And then, I get the diagnosis, and the doctor lays all this out, and there's these sweet little nurses there. And when somebody spoke to me kindly, I just broke down and cried, because I felt like he had delivered things a little bit matter of fact. And when they had like a heart for me, I just broke, and I just cried and cried and cried.
That. And you had the little.
I had been holding it in
Yeah.
for so long, all that worry and anxiety and pressure from other people, because they were like suggesting this, and then I so didn't want them to be right. I wanted to be like, no, you were wrong, and I told you were wrong, but that was not the case. So again, just like alone, and I don't know. I didn't know which way to turn. I was given a list of resources that looked like it came off a Word document, and I didn't know what any of it meant.
All like
and I was
lingo
like,
that you didn't know yet, and
all these services, and they weren't close to us, like you had mentioned, Melissa. And I was like, how do I even make this happen? And then I tried to like tackle the list, and people were redirecting me, and I was just very lost. And I was like, I didn't even have time to make a phone call trying to take care of Zachary, because he was a little wild man. But
and trying to
I thought, how am I going to be on hold with these
all of
people
this,
on the phone and try to find? And it was like not
the
very.
hold music. How much hold music have we listened to?
There wasn't a lot of internet, like just get on there and do that website.
It's all
then.
like wait on somebody,
Right.
and hope they don't transfer you to somebody else.
Yes.
I remember like when I got the diagnosis, my immediate reaction, I like went out in the hallway, found a cubby like to squat down in, and just sobbed crying. And then I went completely numb. And I remember talking to my dad, because we had Riker's name painted on his nursery, and I was just very matter of fact, and I'm like, what are we going to do about his name? Because I was thinking he was going to die, and I'm like, what are we going to do with his name? Do we paint over it? Do I leave it? And my dad's like, don't worry about that right now. But my mind went to things like that for those first little bits. Like I was just completely numb. And then I really relied on my family, but my papa had such an energy about him that was like he could absorb my anxiety and not bring his anxiety to me too. If you've had somebody like that, like he was there for me, where it's not like sometimes people can be around you and it's like their anxiety and their worry just make yours bigger.
It's true.
It just
feed
makes
off
yours,
of it.
yeah. So I would rather just be alone. Like
Yes.
I'd rather be alone and in the moment, but he could be there for me, and I could find like some peace in that. But I mean, I had all those, like the guilt, the denial, and then just the disbelief, and then just trying to completely detach.
Do you have a lot of I caused this?
Yes. Like
That was really.
his was a
I
bacteria.
still struggle with it.
Yeah.
His was a bacteria that caused bacterial meningitis, and I'm like, well, where did this come from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did I do? Did it
Yeah.
come from me? Did it come from delivery? Is it something from my house? Just like, I mean, I wanted an answer, and I mean, he's 21, and I still have no idea. No idea.
That's another thing you kind of have to accept, is you might not ever find an answer.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want to know now. Like if
No.
you know how hard that
And
would
you
be
have
to
to
know,
be
like,
like,
this
is it
what
really
is.
that important? Do I have to?
Yeah,
Right,
do I have
right.
to know? Because then your mind's going to go, well, I could have just done this differently.
And that would induce more guilt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think I
We
would.
don't need any more of that.
And the bad part is we don't even really have time to have
No.
these feelings. That's the hardest part.
You have to
That's
push
so
them down and
true.
move
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so true. You don't get to like take a beat. You said it was like traumatic.
It was
And like,
traumatic,
when you
yes.
have a traumatic experience, like if something happens and you take time off work, or you do whatever you need to do, and you go to therapy or to counseling or whatever to work through this, there's no time.
Who's going to caretake for you?
Who?
Right. Right.
And there were no support groups. You said that one was in Boston.
Yes.
But there were no support groups, in Mercer County, West Virginia,
No.
when we're dealing with all of this stuff. So, I mean, thankfully we've now found each other, and, just starting the collaborative a couple of years ago, and seeing our community come together and say, hey, we see you
Yeah.
now,
And I think
how
that's
can we
another
support
thing.
you?
Like, for a lot of years, I was under the impression that I had to be on the defense with other people.
Yes.
And now, not that there aren't some people that it started before the diagnosis, as I mentioned earlier, but even after, like his behavior would cause, people would say snarky things in a store. If we'd go somewhere, I could tell they wanted us to leave. And I get it. We were really misbehaving. And I say we because we're a unit here. Because, if he's in trouble, I'm in trouble, and vice versa. So I was just getting in that very defensive way. But as time went on, I don't know if there's more awareness, my perception changed, or both. But I learned that there's more good people than bad.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
More loving people, accepting people than not. And that has been a comfort to me. When people, you can tell they genuinely care and they try to interact. I love this thing the collaborative's doing with introducing our special people to the community.
Yeah, the
because that's just what we need. We need people to treat them just like everybody else, because they are just like everybody else. Zachary is Zachary, and then he has autism. Like I say, it's like Aunt Rita is Aunt Rita, but then she has diabetes.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
So it's that person, but they happen to have that diagnosis.
Yeah, and
they're
I
still
feel
them.
like when we had that first diagnosis, for me anyway, I mean, it was like, you're your child's best advocate.
Yes.
You're going to have to fight and you're going to have to push.
And
like
it puts
you
you in fight mode.
It puts you in fight mode, because that becomes like, I have to be this person that can't speak for himself. Mm-hmm. I have to be this fighter and this, strong advocate. And not that you don't, and there's not moments for that.
Yeah.
But it just set you up to have like a negative approach
I agree.
to the community and the world around you. But we've noticed, as we've been in the collaborative, like we've noticed that approach when we approach things like we're on the same side. Mm-hmm. Nobody is out to get your special needs child.
No.
Mm-hmm.
We might disagree or look at things through a different lens, but really, everybody wants what's best for your kid. It just might look a little different. Yeah. It's helped us, I think, all to just kind of take a breath. Like, we need to raise awareness and we need to advocate, and sometimes we need to fight. But really, if we can just approach it with, there are more good people than there are bad.
Yeah.
And there are more people that will love on our kids and show them community than people that don't.
And you talk about turning points, and I think that was a huge turning point for me, is to realize that I don't have to spend all this energy fighting every day.
Yes.
Because that's the thing that we're told.
Yeah.
Like you said, fight. And then when I let up a little bit and, kind of let people in, that people wanted to help, people wanted to understand, and I didn't, because it was me. I was the one putting, I gave that energy to them.
We all kind of took
That's true.
We were all like, let's just hunker down and deal with this.
Yes.
I feel like. I know I did. But you're right. If you would, it was us.
Yeah,
we
was
should
us.
have let more people in.
Yeah.
But that's all hindsight, and this has taken us
It
years
is.
to learn.
Years to get
Yes.
there. And I think that's a good message, though, to share with other people. Instead of fight, love, build,
Teach.
Teach and educate, absolutely.
And try not to be offended. Most people are not out to offend you. But
It
it's
could
just
be
more,
Yes.
genuinely, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't know. So let me give you a moment to educate you a little bit.
Yeah.
Or-
And I didn't know. I mean, I really did not. Even in the beginning, like I said, there was nobody I could call to say,
Right.
when Noah's doing this, what should I do? So if I didn't know as his mother, how would they know?
Exactly.
Right.
I still feel I know Riker, my son, very well. I know your boys fairly well. But I could potentially say something that would hurt your feelings or that would offend you.
Right.
So because you don't know the answers to everything.
Yeah.
And we don't want people to be afraid to interact at
Right.
all.
And ask questions.
And ask
Yes.
questions.
Yes.
So, that I think this experience over the years has taught us a lot. But it's good to hear each of our moments, and it's interesting how we've had very different stories and our family makeup is really different, but we all had those same things, the guilt and the fear and the anger and denial. So I think that this was really important. So if you are sitting at home and listening to this podcast and you're going through a moment like this, you're not alone. That moment does change everything, but it also sets you on a journey for something really great. So thanks for stopping by and listening.
And that's today's conversation.
If you feel seen, understood, or just a little less alone, share this podcast with someone who needs it too.
No judgment, no perfect answers, no pretending. Just real talk.
We said what we said, and we'll keep talking.